Now, I kind of showed you what you can do with these classes that we created and the objects that we've created with these classes. But I wanted to kind of expand on that a little bit because, as I've mentioned to you before, whenever you upload a file, uploading you're actually uploading an array. So see, like this, like files are an actual double-sided array. So the way you can do that, and I shouldn't have kept this in, but the way we can do that with our class known as entry is we can make an array as one of the identifiers. And the way you do that is that, or you can go like this, as we said before. And all you're saying now in this identifier is you're saying that this one is going to hold multiple values. So as we've made username and we've made text place, we made price, we can then make image. And at that point, so we make the same thing, public function make image, we put image as the argument, and then of course this image equals image, and return this image, right? So now when we go back to third, or this page, as you can see, we can do like we've done before. We can go image equals entry make image, and that would be the files image array. And then we do these checks like we would before. But now we can just go, But now we can just go image, since we already given it a value, and then of course we can do the size and all that other stuff. Image size, image type, and if it's set, and all that, because we've given it this value. Now again, it's not, because of the fact that we have we don't have a real good validation system, period. And I want you to kind of get into the practice of making classes and objects and everything like that, as opposed to doing things the long version way. But because of the fact that we don't have a good validation system that we put together and everything like that, we don't really have a means to get rid of all this first and then, and then just process it and whatever. But if you wanted, you could make a function here called create. In fact, we can probably do that. And what we would do with create, because we know the amount of parameters that we're using and everything like that, we could do public function create, or create testing, and we could put in there our arguments. Yeah, that's okay. Price and image. And in there, because we know what we're doing, we can then go, we could do the whole thing. We can do the whole thing with make new equals con prepare insert into testing username, text place, price, image, values, and then we can do that. Okay. And yeah, that's pretty much all we need. And the reason why we do that, so now we don't have to do this. And we can also, well, I want to see, why this didn't, because last time it wasn't putting in any values. But we can also, like I was saying before, we can also kind of like make a function to clean this up. Or we could just make this a function. We don't even have to put this in the class. We could just make a function. And then from here, we should be able to go like this. Creating testing, entry, create testing, and then we can go username, text place, price. I mean, really, really when you have like when you're making some kind of class, let's delete this. That's fine. When you're creating a class, you kind of want to do things based off of what? It's right here, connection. I thought I fixed that already. Undefined variable class, con. Well, let me undo this then. Undo the whole thing. But really, like when you make like a class or something, you don't want to just have yeah, why can't I use that? You don't want to just have something like this. Let me get rid of that. You don't want to just have something like this. Like you want to have like a class, like one broad scope of what you're putting into the table and everything like that. Like you don't want to just have one, like functions. Like I said, you could just make these functions in the functions page and then just bring the functions page over and just do that way if we're going to do it like this. But the whole point of making objects from a class that's supposed to send things to your table is so that all you have to do is just get the information and then link it to these identifiers. And then from there, take those identifiers and relate them to your table and what's in the table. But there are ways that you can do that with just general bits of, I guess you can say, identifiers. we're going to get into that later, a little bit later, but I just wanted to show you that you can easily make an identifier an array and then use that in the same manner which we use that. And I just, let me go back to third and let me just, I don't know why that didn't work, but whatever. Let me get rid of this, because that's going to be an issue. But if we just go back to third, and now that we've done what we've done with these identifiers in this class, which again, it's not even saving anything, but you know, we're just kind of playing through all of this, and we're just kind of making things as we go along and everything like that. Again, it's very early in the development phase in terms of like what we want to do. I don't want to throw too much at you this stage of the game. So let's see, entry, object, take this object and 1.1, and I have to make more of these. And as you can see, we just got a new one with the picture and everything like that, and it's the same thing that we did before. But now if you look, you know, now we know that we can put arrays in there. If you look, you can sort of see different ways that you can improve on this, and this being one, the validation, and that's what this is called, by the way. This is called validation. Doing any kind of validation, you can sort of do that here too, and you can make like a validation system where these entries wouldn't pass. Where are we? These entries wouldn't pass unless they were validated. In which case, when you do say make username, it's not just making a username, it has to fulfill these requirements, so that everywhere you go, whenever you want to add another entry in the testing site or the testing table, it'll have to pass these. In fact, why don't we, right, this username equals, yeah, well, I mean, we could do something, because again, this is all based on one general thing. But we really should be making like a whole system of things. It's not, yeah, we're gonna have to like redo like everything. So we'll get into that later. I don't want to do that now. You know, we'll worry about that stuff when we start making the site. Okay? But like I said, the idea of making everything an object is not just to do something like this and just input your identifiers. The idea is to be able to have a broader scope. And you'll see what we're talking about when we start doing this in a little bit more thoroughly. Now, another thing too is, if you are familiar with frameworks, you would notice that this is like the makings of a model or a model class. And with a model class, what that means is every single time you make a table in your database, you can then use a model class in order to, which will then based off your table, and it will take all the parameters you give it from your table, and it will automatically do a create, or it automatically do, you know, an insert or an update or a delete or whatever you need to do, just by using these keywords and these identifiers and everything like that. But, you know, okay, so we uploaded a picture using our little classes and whatever, our little object. We were able to put an array in there and everything like that. This should have worked. I don't know why it didn't. I mean, we have it right here, the connection. It's right there. I don't know why it didn't, but whatever. We'll look at that at another time. But anyway, so that's how you make an array identifier. And again, like I said, we're just kind of introducing this right now. so that you can get an idea, you can start working things out, and just look things up online and just see what you're allowed to do. You just see what PHP allows you to do. And you know, you can figure it out based on what you want to do with it. You know, like that's the thing. You have all the material you need online if you want to just kind of take a step further. Now, again, you could just follow along with me. I will eventually get there, but as of now, we're just taking it step by step. So when I come back in the next video, we're going to do a little bit more MySQL stuff. I think we're going to put a little hold on classes because there are other things, there are other ideas that I want you to really get in your head and in your practice. So we will now start talking about other kinds of relations and how they work in here. I will see you then.